So, what we doing today, bro? You know, spiritual talk. Yeah. Come on, man. We meditating, we manifesting what we want today. They're gonna try to say chop cray cray. But hey, you know, blessings, man. Blessings in abundance coming y'all way soon. Spiritual. Hey, they said I'm a
Now, it looks like the boy NLE Choppa has been watching Spiritual Soul, aka Gazer. It also looks like he's woke now. Spiritual Chop in the building. So yeah, let's talk about it. Now, at this point, I think most people are familiar with NLE Choppa. I've made a couple videos on him in the past, the biggest one being about him crying for help earlier this year. Like a lot of other young rappers who've opened up about their struggle with mental health, NLE Choppa was definitely going through it. He put up multiple very worrying tweets that left a lot of people worried. Seems like he's in a much better place right now, just judging from what he's been posting on social media. He recently dropped an album titled Top Shotta that I've personally had on repeat. We also recently saw him on the XXL cover of This Year, a placement he very much deserved. Walk 'Em Down is still doing crazy numbers. I still think Roddy's verse should have been longer. Narrow Road featuring Lil Baby is kind of going crazy as well right now. NLE Choppa is really just in a good place, you know, career-wise. He's went above and beyond just Shotta flow. That's really good to see. Apart from his accomplishments as far as rapping goes, what am I talking about when I say woke? Well, as you could see on that video I played at the beginning of this one, we heard him talking about things like meditation, manifestation, two words a lot of people throw around just for the sake of appearing spiritual. But Choppa has actually been talking about a lot of this stuff for a couple weeks now, mainly on Twitter and a little bit on his YouTube live streams as well. He's been preaching about the benefits of meditating. He's been talking about how the media distracts us from the important things in life. He's been talking about the importance of diet, eating good, low vibration energy. Also talked about how he's been fasting recently. Pretty much he's been talking about and preaching a bunch of things that you wouldn't necessarily expect to see from someone like NLE Choppa. Now let me just make this one thing clear. These aren't really things that are new to me personally. I don't want to go all spiritual on here. I'll leave that to the boy Spiritual Soul since he does a way better job at that than me. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description below just in case you're not familiar with his content. But continuing, there's a reason why I talk about the things I talk about on my channel in relation to hip hop. You've heard me talk about the importance of mental health in hip hop. Whenever there's a rapper who most of us are fans of who's having some kind of maybe public breakdown, is maybe crying out for help, I talk about that to not only show my support to that artist, but because I know that there's a lot of people out there who are hurting as well. The mental health aspect of the rap game is the #1 most important topic to me personally, and I think it's kind of neglected. Los guys, Logic, even guys like Lil Pump and NBA Youngboy, we've seen a lot of rappers who've been vulnerable and opened up about their mental struggles. Whatever they're feeling on the inside obviously reflects in the music. Going a step further, whatever they're feeling on the inside directly reflects on their actions. As an example, like I just mentioned, we've seen Lil Pump in a vulnerable state mentally speaking. He was going through it a while back, talking about how the people around him were doing weird stuff, how being successful in the rap game comes with a lot of BS, etc. Now, young rappers like Lil Pump serve as a machine. Lil Pump is of course a character whose sole purpose is to stir up controversy, participate in a bunch of antics. That attention then leads to people actually listening to the music, which is the desired goal. 6ix9ine is a guy who operates in a similar fashion, but he's of course having the time of his life during this journey, or so it seems. By the way, I know it probably feels like I'm ranting, but follow me. But serving as that Lil Pump machine does something to one's brain. You can't tell me that Lil Pump being in character mode 24/7 whenever we see him on social media doesn't eat him up on the inside. If that wasn't the case, then we wouldn't see him crying for help. I see those cries for help as a moment of weakness that kind of reveals the true side of that rapper. Like in NLE Choppa's case, at one point he was feeling like, I don't want to be on this planet, but months later has overcame that and is now using his platform for a positive cause. The thing about what I just said though is a lot of people look at someone like NLE Choppa now being woke. They listen to his music and point the finger at him saying, why isn't he talking about this in his music? How come he's talking about sipping codeine, feeling like a dolphin, and not put the guns and drugs down and meditate. I could technically end this video right now by saying, because negativity sells, boom, video's done. But we're gonna keep going because it's way more nuanced than that. By the way, I did actually hear him mention meditation on a song he just previewed, so maybe ignore what I just said, but you get my point, right? Why isn't he putting this in the music instead, right? This goes back to what I mentioned earlier, the machine thing. Get this one thing straight, NLE Choppa's music serves a purpose. NLE Choppa didn't rap about meditation when he blew up with Shotta Flow. He's not in the position he's in today because he rapped about things of that nature, and this is something he knows. His audience didn't gravitate towards him for that. People gravitated towards him because he's a really young rapper who makes lit music, is so full of life when he's rapping. His energy on his tracks is amazing. He knows how to make some hard bangers, and he obviously talks about that life. He makes music for the streets, and we all know what that means. He talks about guns, drugs, finding the ops, and pew 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 on sight. He talks about being posted in front of the trap, selling dope till the sun go down. I'm telling you all this just to make one thing very clear. NLE Choppa has a lane, and that lane doesn't involve him talking about spirituality in his music. From time to time, he's probably gonna mention topics like meditating, spirituality, the media, but it's only gonna be sometimes. This is actually a really important conversation, and I want you to listen to what I'm gonna say next and, digest it. NLE Choppa can't put too much real shit in his music because that will destroy the wave he's built up. I have a feeling he's most likely watching this video, so I want to directly address him. The kind of advice I'd like to give him is don't go full woke in your music because you won't be as hot as you are right now. And with you losing that popularity, you also lose the amount of people you can potentially influence with your platform. Now, I'm only approaching this advice from the assumption that you care about being hot, which 99% of rappers do, especially, and I mean especially the young ones. They do put a lot of value in how relevant they are. Ain't nothing wrong with that. A lot of people are not really gonna like what I'm saying right now. Essentially what I'm saying is keep making low vibrational music, and I'm gonna be honest, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that because I know that most people who consume hip-hop nowadays don't want to hear that real shit. Most people want to hear pulling that Cooper a lot, they're not really trying to hear no War Baby. The best songs get slept on. I'm also saying this for the reason I mentioned earlier. For NLE Choppa to keep on inspiring the youth with the help of this new version of himself, he has to be able to maintain or even exceed the level of popularity he currently has, which means he has to keep on delivering the same product he's been delivering since he got in the game. There's a reason why Depression, which is a song from NLE Choppa's album, is sitting at 850,000 streams on Spotify at the time of me recording this, and the song Murder Talk is sitting at 2.4 million streams. On Depression, NLE Choppa talks about just that, his mental health. Clearly one of the best songs on the album if you ask me, but it's also one of the less streamed ones along with the song Paranoid, which is another one of my favorites, and that song has even less streams than Depression. On the other hand, we got Murder Talk, the song where NLE Choppa talks about chasing down his ops, and yeah, you know the rest. There's nothing more powerful than a person with a platform like NLE Choppa using his platform to tell the truth. There's a reason why most people at the top, especially celebrities, are bots. Now, I'm not trying to sound like a conspiracy theory kind of guy. Trust me, I'm a very realistic person. I don't feed into that, but then again, going back to my point, NLE Choppa is a guy a lot of kids look up to. That's undeniable. I want you to look at it like this. If you help the kids think for themselves, the kids are gonna wake up, and they, whoever they are, don't like that. Again, I'm sounding like that conspiracy theory guy, but when I say they, I'm talking about, for example, the labels. That's why I really messed with X-Men. He very selflessly put himself on a line for the sole purpose of uplifting the youth. You know how a lot of rappers say, I do it for the kids? Well, X was the definition of I do it for the kids, bro. God rest that man's soul. Back to NLE Choppa though, I want you to realize that NLE Choppa is a 17-year-old guy. Yes, he's a rapper, but also just a regular 17-year-old kid since he's not legally an adult yet. A kid with a kid because he's also a father who's trying to make a living for himself. I'm mentioning this to say this one thing. I don't expect NLE Choppa to change the world. If I did, then I'd come on this video criticizing him for being all spiritual and then making a song like Murder Talk and call him a hypocrite. But you know what? I'm not gonna do that because I understand that rapping is at the end of the day a hustle. No matter what way you wanna put it, the money motivates young guys like NLE Choppa. Not really only because of the superficial factor like I can buy myself a new foreign $100,000 chain and blow a big bag in a club. Yes, that's probably very motivating for a lot of these young rappers, but also because of what the money represents. It represents freedom. It represents opportunity, and what that means for NLE is having the opportunity to, for example, put money aside for his child so he or she can go to college without having to put themselves through debt. It also means that he can keep on providing for his family because best believe that a guy like NLE Choppa is carrying his entire family on his back. I think a lot of people forget this aspect of things. The kind of pressure a lot of these young rappers go through isn't all about, am I gonna fall off and become irrelevant to the game? That's of course one aspect of it, but a lot of times it's actually way bigger than that. A lot of times it has to do with the fact that their entire family tree is depending on whether or not they succeed long term or they don't. So the question is, should NLE Choppa take it a step further, go full woke in his music, knowing that it'll affect the amount of money he makes, which then directly affects everyone who's depending on him? That's family, right? I'm kind of mentally trying to put myself in his shoes, and I'm asking myself, what would I do? Would I, quote unquote, sell out for the purpose of looking out for my people? What would you personally do? Ask yourself that. The kind of blessings someone like NLE Choppa has been able to attract in his life, all because he knew how to make a good song that then took off, doesn't make the situation he's in problem-free. Mo money, mo problems. You've heard that quote. Word to Biggie. It comes with the burden of having to constantly outdo yourself, because at this point, you're not trying to hustle your way through the rap game because you want to be the man. You're now doing it so you can put your people in a better position, so you can take that rap money and invest it into stocks, bonds, property, because that's where the real money is. Like I said though, it's not all fun and games. You're not just a businessman, you're now a businessman. Now how's that business gonna get affected if NLE Choppa goes all woke in his music? Sadly, it's gonna get affected negatively because that's not what people recognize him for. In this case right here, the popping rapper trap is in full effect, but it's really only a trap because NLE Choppa can't fully embrace this new spiritual side of him in his music without that affecting, for example, how many streams he gets. Do you remember that Protect Lil Tecca at All Costs video I made over a year ago? I talked about that rant Lil Tecca had on his Instagram where he was talking about some real topics. That was around the time when he was extremely hot. Ransom was taking the entire world by storm. A lot of eyes were on him during that specific period in his career since he was new and obviously Ransom was blown up. And Lil Tecca talked about the dark side of becoming a successful rapper in the game, why fame/clout won't make you happier, and just a lot of other things that the kind of audience Lil Tecca has really needed to hear. But like we all know at this point, if you've seen that video, all that real talk went over most people's heads. Most people in that live stream were more focused on clowning Lil Tecca's appearance rather than soaking up all the game he was dropping. People wanted to go full entertainer mode and call him a nerd for the sake of seeking a reaction out of him, not knowing that he was trying to lift those same people up. What did I say in that video? We gotta praise the good that these young rappers do to give them an incentive to continue on that path. That's why I made that video on Lil Tecca. Folks were more concerned with making fun of him rather than taking in the message he was preaching, so why exactly would he put himself in that situation again? What's the point of preaching to a bunch of people who don't want to listen anyway? Just like it doesn't benefit Lil Tecca to say the kind of things he said on that Instagram live, it doesn't benefit NLE Choppa to go full woke in his music, even though it seems like he's somewhat enlightened now. I want to personally encourage him to keep on speaking positivity into the universe, keep on documenting this spiritual journey that you're on through social media like you've been doing, but don't feel pressured to try to save the world, so to speak. Don't feel pressured to talk about whatever you're tweeting about in your music. At the end of the day, you have a job to do. You didn't get to the position you're in by being a conscious rapper, and I don't expect you to talk about that in your music. A lot of people will call you a hypocrite for making the type of music you're making despite you now being on this woke journey. I say do whatever you want to do. I understand that you gotta stick to the script. Just because NLE Choppa is woke now doesn't necessarily mean that his music is gonna change or that he'll stop talking about pulling up on the ops. That's the kind of music he's known for making. You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta get the bag by any means, right? At the end of the day, rapping is a hustle, and despite NLE Choppa not making conscious music that's gonna uplift the youth, you know, from a mental aspect, at least he's out here using the other platforms that that he has, for example, like social media, to put some good out in there. With that being said, I think it's dope to see a young rapper who's really popping and relevant to the youth showing this side of himself. I'm personally a very conscious person. That's why I cover the rap game the way I do, you know, with a very conscious lens. And I think it's great to see that rappers like NLE Choppa are waking up and kind of going against the grain. I love that. This might actually lead to some kind of ripple effect, you know, other poppin' rappers in NLE's lane being vocal and preaching about the things he's been preaching about, and, you know, kind of just like following in NLE's footsteps. I would definitely like to see that. But yeah, NLE Choppa is a woke rapper now. Who would have thought? It looks like he's been on a spiritual journey lately. What do you think about that? I feel like most people who are watching this right now are probably gonna appreciate this woke NLE. But yeah, definitely let me know in the comment section below and let's have a discussion about this.